Hi, welcome back to the Quiet Zone. I'm Susan Patang. Today's video lesson is about mindfulness. Okay, we keep hearing about mindfulness all the time, but do you know what it is? Do you know what it'll do for you? Do you know why it's important to be mindful? So let's start the screen share. There we go. Okay, so why bother? What does mindfulness do for me anyway? Well, it just makes sense. The past is gone and the future isn't here yet. Okay. The only thing that we have is right now. Our lives are made up of all these little in between moments, in between the milestones that we have. And it just makes logical sense to enjoy and maximize all those little in between moments in between our milestones and our goals and all the things that happen to us, good and bad. And by enjoying each moment for what it is, it will make you feel good. And that's all we want, right? We all want to feel good. So, okay, I've convinced you. So, how do you do it? All right. So, the first thing is to observe. Being mindful means to be observant of what's going on around us physically, how you are feeling physically, and also how you're feeling emotionally. Um, just like a police officer is trained to be observant of his environment to protect the people around him. What does the present moment feel like? And a lot of times I encourage my clients to feel the experience of the moment. I know that sounds a little woo-woo, but it's kind of like feeling the vibe of the moment. Do you remember when you were a kid and it was the beginning of the summer and you're sitting in your mom's kitchen or at home and you just had this joy because school was over and now you had your day to yourself and you remember the way the sun looked when it came through the windows and you remember the smells of outside and you remember playing and you might even remember what you wore. So we remember how we felt, and a lot of times remembering how we felt brings back the details. And the same thing applies to being mindful. We can get the full appreciation of the moment by thinking about the way the moment makes us feel. So focus. What are you doing right now? How do you feel right now? What is for lack of a better word, the vibe of the moment? Okay, so here are some tips so that you can make it happy. um, Number one is notice something wonderful, amazing, awe-inspiring, or something to be grateful for as often as possible. You want to make the moments feel good. Okay, there's a reason for this. I call it the new car factor. When you get a new car and you go out on the road, all of a sudden you start seeing all the other ones just like it, right? They didn't just magically appear. You are now familiar with that model of car. And the same thing applies to making your moments awe-inspired, amazing, wonderful, or finding gratitude for the individual moment. Because the more positive emotion that you can place in each individual moment, the more positives you will notice because they will become familiar. The second tip that I can give you for staying happy in the moment is to describe what you're doing as though you were showing someone else to do it. Sometimes I just describe it to myself. Right now, I'm picking up the plate and I'm washing it with the sponge, and now I'm rinsing it under the sink. If you find that you're starting to spiral off either into the past or into the future, which a lot of us do, it's like, what am I going to do next? What am I going to do next? You want to keep yourself here. Okay. Describe what you're doing as though you were teaching someone else to do it. You can also notice your everyday environments in a way that somebody who's never been there before would notice. What do you see? Okay, so if you walked into the room that you are in right now and looked around, what would you notice if you had never been there before? What catches your attention? That helps you to, that's a really good exercise to help you pay attention to your environment. Okay. Um, Shake up your routine. So take a different route to work, put your left sock on instead of your right sock first, if that's the opposite of what you normally do. Notice the differences. Notice how it feels if you start at this end of the store instead of this end when you go to do your shopping. um, Pay attention to the differences, shake things up. Because what happens is when it's just like those commercials about going nose blind, okay, and you don't see things anymore, you don't notice things anymore. So if you shake up your routine, you will start to notice more. And a lot of times I hear people say, well, what about planning for my future? And remembering good times. If I'm in the moment and I'm focused on what I'm doing right now, how do I go about planning and setting goals and trying to achieve those goals? So what I have to say about that is that even the most mindful monk has to plan his garden. Planning is necessary and it's good because it helps us reduce stress, okay? Having a good, flexible plan. And reminiscing about happy times makes us feel good too. Remember what we were saying about sitting in your mom's kitchen when you were a kid and remembering the way it made you feel? So what could be wrong with that? And the answer is nothing. There is nothing wrong with that. But enjoy the process of planning. Notice and observe and be engaged by the experience of the planning. Okay. And the same thing goes for reminiscing, be engaged with the experience and the way it makes you feel. There's nothing wrong with planning for the future or remembering things that you enjoyed in the past. The only time that those activities become a problem is when you spend most of your time there. So if you're always thinking about, oh, it was so much better when this happened, or I really regret all those horrible things that I did, or conversely, when you're constantly waiting for the next thing to happen, or worried about what you're going to do next, or when you say to yourself, I'll be happy when I get here, okay, that's a problem, okay? By finding mindful gratitude, being grateful and positive and happy about the moment that you're in right now, the byproduct is happiness. Okay. Happiness is not a goal that you're looking to get to down the road. It's something that you can have right now just by finding the intrigue and the wonder and the amazement in the moment that you have right now. So, what else can you do about mindfulness? Well, that's just one technique that you can use to deal with the stress and anxiety of everyday life, especially with the way things are out there right now, right? There are other things that you can do to help with stress and anxiety, and those things include defining your value system, learning to work through negative emotions and behaviors so that you don't repeat them again and go over and over and over the same ground. Learning how to love and take care of yourself as much as you take care of everybody else. Okay. Figuring out some better ways to manage your time so you're not constantly stressed about tasks that need to be done. And also learning how to deal with your boss and your mother in law. And you say to me, wait, what? Okay. Because one of the biggest stressors that we have in our lives is the interaction that we have with other people. Okay. And yes, that is a horrible mother-in-law picture, isn't it? I should have picked something else. Okay, so how to handle conflict without stress and anxiety, or hand grenade. A great way to learn how to do that is to take my power session, How to Handle Conflict Without Stress and Anxiety. You will know how to deal with your nasty boss and still stay sane. You will learn the best ways to communicate and how to be heard. How to negotiate your way through conflict, how to diffuse criticism, and also how to deflect nosy people like Jen, the office cooler gossip genie. So after just one 45-minute session, you'll be able to handle your mother-in-law without starting a war. You'll be able to figure out who's doing the dishes without starting a fight, and you'll be able to take back some of the control in your life. So you will learn the 6 rules of communication, how to ask for what you want, and how to set limits, all for $97 all in under an hour, and all without being bitchy. So this is how you get it. You get a video lesson, a supporting written instruction, including real techniques that you can use right now. I call them cheat sheets. We will have a 45-minute one-on-one Zoom session, you and I together, so that you can learn how to apply the new strategies in the cheat sheet and the video to situations in your life, all for $97. And you can get it at thequietzonecoaching.com/services. They're listed on the services page. So what are you waiting for? Go get it. And I can't wait to talk to you. Have a wonderful, awesome day. Stay safe.